In the cold darkness of space, far from any star, a small alien patrol ship drifted quietly through the void. Its silver hull shimmered under the faint glow of distant nebulae. Inside, everything was silent. Only the soft hum of the engines broke the stillness. Commander Zeltor, a tall, grey-skinned officer with glowing blue eyes, stood before the main viewing window. His crew, only 6 in total, moved carefully around the control panels. They were part of the Valorian patrol fleet, known for guarding the outer edge of their empire. Their mission was simple: scan the empty sectors for any sign of unknown life or technology. But this time, something felt different. For 3 days, they had been following a strange signal, weak, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. It pulsed through their scanners every few seconds, but no one could find its source. It didn't match any known beacon, and it came from a region marked as uninhabited. "Commander," said Ensign Rilna, her voice uneasy. "The signal pattern just changed. It's stronger now," Zeltor frowned. "Origin?" She hesitated. "It's moving, sir. The signal is—" Coming closer, the bridge fell silent. Every crew member turned toward their screens. A faint dot appeared on the radar, growing larger each second. The commander's long fingers tapped the console. "Visual scan," he ordered. The main screen flickered, showing a blur of static and light. Then the shape appeared, massive, sharp edges. "Cold metal reflecting distant starlight. What is that?" whispered the navigator. The shape drifted slowly into view. It wasn't one ship, it was many. Dozens of huge, dark objects forming a pattern across the void. They didn't match any alien design the Valorians had ever seen. "They're not transmitting any ID codes," Rilna said. "No energy signatures either. It's like they're asleep." Commander Zeltor stared at the screen. His mind searched old records, forgotten stories, half-buried myths from the galactic archives. There was only one species that once built ships like these, heavy, rectangular, covered in strange armor plating. Humans. But that was impossible. Humans were gone, their homeworld destroyed centuries ago. No one had seen a living human in over 300 years, and yet, here they were. "Approach carefully," Zeltor said, his voice calm but cold. "Do not provoke them." The patrol ship glided forward, its engines whispering through the silence. The alien crew watched in awe as the massive human vessels filled the view. Each one was scarred with age, marked by ancient battles. Some still had the faded symbols of the Terran Defense Force, a military that once fought half the galaxy. Rilna adjusted the scanners. "These ships. They're old, Commander, but they're active. Power readings are low but stable. Someone or something was maintaining them." Zeltor folded his hands behind his back. "Send a greeting signal. Use standard trade language." Rilna nodded and sent the transmission. The ship's lights blinked as the message went out into the dark. Then silence again. No response. No movement. Seconds turned into minutes. The crew waited. Sweat formed on alien skin not used to fear. Then, without warning, the radar blinked, once, twice, and the signal vanished. "They're gone," shouted the navigator. "What do you mean, gone?" Zeltor demanded. "They disappeared from sensors, Commander." "No trace," Rilna gasped. "Wait, no, they didn't disappear." Her eyes widened. "They're behind us." The entire ship shuddered as something massive moved into position. On the main screen, a colossal shadow blocked the stars. Lights flickered along its hull, deep blue like eyes opening after a long sleep. "By the ancients," whispered Zeltor. "They've surrounded us." The alien patrol was trapped in the middle of the fleet. Human ships, silent, ancient, and alive, floated all around them. Not one weapon was fired, not one word was spoken. Yet the message was clear. "You think they're hostile?" asked the pilot, his voice shaking. Zeltor didn't answer. He couldn't. He just stared at the largest ship in front of them, a monstrous vessel with towers and glowing engines like burning suns. And then it happened. Every human ship's light turned bright white for a single second, and then total darkness. The alien ship systems flickered, alarms screamed, and every screen went black. The crew shouted, pressing buttons, trying to regain control. "Systems offline," Rilna cried. "We've lost power." Outside, the human ships remained still, silent watchers in the void. Commander Zeltor stood frozen, eyes locked on the window. "They're not attacking," he murmured. "They're warning us." As the emergency lights dimly flickered on, the human fleet began to move, slowly drifting away into the blackness, vanishing like ghosts. Within minutes, there was nothing left but empty space. The signal that started it all faded into silence. The alien patrol was alone again. Their systems slowly returned one by one, but no one spoke. Each of them knew they had seen something that should not exist, something ancient, powerful, and awake. Zeltor looked out into the endless dark. "The humans are not gone," he whispered. "They were only waiting." And somewhere beyond the stars, a faint light blinked once more, as if answering him. The alien patrol ship drifted silently in the black void, its lights flickering weakly. The crew of Commander Zeltor sat frozen, still shaken by what they had just seen. Moments ago, hundreds of unknown ships had surrounded them and vanished just as suddenly. For several long minutes, no one spoke. Only the soft hum of emergency power filled the bridge. Ensign Rilna finally broke the silence. "Commander, all systems are back online, but I can't find them. The human ships are gone." Zeltor stared at the dark screen. "Run a deep scan. Use the long-range array," Rilna hesitated. "Sir, if they're still out there, scanning might alert them again." "I know," he said quietly. "Do it anyway." The ship's antenna extended, sending invisible waves of energy across the void. The scanners hummed, searching the emptiness. For a moment, nothing appeared. Then the radar lit up. "Oh no," Rilna whispered. "Massive energy readings. All around them. They're everywhere, Commander." Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. The bridge lights dimmed. On the main screen, enormous shapes slowly came into view. The alien crew gasped. The human armada had returned. Dozens of warships glided through the darkness, their metal hulls covered with glowing blue lights. Some looked old and scarred, others strangely new, as if rebuilt from ancient wrecks. The patrol ship was surrounded again, trapped inside a silent cage of human steel. Then one ship moved forward, much larger than the rest. Its hull carried markings written in an ancient language the Valorians barely recognized. UNS Resolution. Commander Zeltor's throat went dry. "That's a Terran super dreadnought," he said softly. "They were said to be destroyed during the Galactic War, but—" "It's still working," Rilna whispered. "How?" The dreadnought stopped less than 10 kilometers away. For a long moment, nothing happened. The human fleet stayed silent. The alien ship floated helplessly between giants. Then, all at once, the dreadnought came alive. Thousands of lights flashed across its surface. Engines roared with a deep thunder that even the vacuum of space could not hide. Blue energy began to swirl around its hull, like storm clouds forming in the void. "Energy surge detected," shouted the navigator. "It's charging something huge." The crew looked at each other in panic. "Raise shields," Zeltor commanded. "Shields online, sir." But deep inside, he knew their defenses were useless. The human ship was too powerful. Its energy signature alone was stronger than an entire Valorian battle group. The dreadnought's front section opened slightly, revealing a massive circular structure glowing with white light. For one terrifying second, the aliens thought it was about to fire. Then it stopped. The energy pulsed, and a voice filled their communication system, a deep, human voice, cold, calm, powerful. "You have entered Terran space. Identify yourselves or be erased." The crew froze. The sound of that voice felt ancient, commanding, yet emotionless, like a machine repeating old orders. Zeltor slowly leaned forward. "This is Commander Zeltor of the Valorian patrol fleet. We mean no harm. We are explorers. We didn't know this area was claimed." Static filled the line. No response. Then the voice returned. "Terran borders are closed. Leave immediately. This is your only warning." The screen flashed once, then went dark again. "Commander," Rilna whispered. "That voice!" It didn't sound alive. It sounded like a recording. Zeltor nodded slowly. "An automated defense system. But someone must have built it." Someone must have programmed it. The dreadnought didn't move. It simply hovered in the void, waiting. The alien crew sat in silence, hearts pounding. "What do we do?" asked the pilot. Zeltor thought for a moment. "If this fleet is automated, we might be able to gather data without triggering them again." "Repair a stealth probe," Rilna hesitated. "Sir, that could be dangerous." He gave a small, tired smile. "Everything out here is dangerous, Ensign." The probe launched, a tiny metallic sphere disappearing into the darkness. It drifted toward the human dreadnought, silent and invisible. On the screen, its camera transmitted every second, the ship's hull, its markings, the endless details of its design. Then, suddenly, static. "Signal lost," Rilna said. The probe had vanished. Before anyone could speak, the entire ship began to shake. A wave of energy passed through the patrol vessel, not destructive, but heavy and strange, as if time itself bent around them. Lights flickered, and flashes of images filled the screen. Cities burning, soldiers fighting, humans screaming in defiance. Zeltor gasped. "What is this?" "It's memories," Rilna said softly. "We're seeing their history." The vision ended as suddenly as it began. The bridge went dark again. Everyone sat frozen, speechless. The human fleet still floated silently outside, untouched, unmoving. Zeltor finally spoke. "They wanted to show us something, a warning, or a message." The navigator whispered, "Commander, what should we do now?" Zeltor stared out the window, watching the dreadnought's lights fade into the shadows. "We leave," he said quietly, "but not because they told us to. We leave because I believe what we saw was not just a fleet, it was a graveyard." He turned toward his crew. "Set a course home. We will report this to the Council. The humans are not gone, and whatever they became, they don't want to be found." As the Valorian ship turned away, the massive human vessels slowly rotated, following their movement like silent predators. When the alien patrol jumped to hyperspace, the last thing they saw was the Terran dreadnought's glowing eyes, watching them until they vanished into the dark. The stars stretched into long silver lines as the Valorian patrol ship jumped through hyperspace. Inside the control room, the crew sat in uneasy silence. No one spoke, no one laughed. Even the usual hum of the engines felt heavier now. "Commander." Zeltor stood by the main window, staring at the endless blur of light. His thoughts were a storm. The image of that massive human dreadnought, the UNS Resolution, kept replaying in his mind. The voice, the warning, the strange visions of war and death. The Valorians had studied hundreds of species across the galaxy, but none had ever made him feel like this, small, fragile, and unwelcome. "Commander," said Ensign Rilna, breaking the silence, "we've crossed the Terran border zone. No more human signals detected." "Good," Zeltor replied. But his voice didn't sound relieved. He turned toward the crew. "Download every sensor log, every visual record. I want full analysis before we reach the Council." "Yes, sir," Rilna said, her fingers flying across the console. But after a moment, her face turned pale. "Commander, something's wrong." Zeltor frowned. "What is it?" "The data files are corrupted. Every image, every signal from the human fleet, it's all scrambled, like someone erased it." The crew exchanged nervous looks. "Can you recover anything?" he asked. "I'm trying." Rilna's hands trembled as she typed. Then suddenly, her screen flashed white. "Wait, there's a message." Everyone turned. The room filled with a deep mechanical hum. A holographic projection appeared above the console, static at first, then forming a clear image. It was a human figure, wearing an old Terran military uniform. His face was calm but cold, eyes like dark stone. "To any who enter this region," the figure said, "know this. Humanity is not gone. We have learned. We have adapted. The stars remember our fire. The crew stared in silence. The figure continued, his voice echoing through the ship. "We once reached out for peace. The galaxy answered with war. You burned our worlds, hunted our fleets, and called it survival. But we survived too. In the silence of the void, we rebuilt. We evolved." The image flickered, and the man's face seemed to look straight at Zeltor. "Do not seek us, do not enter our space again, for those who come uninvited will not return." The hologram vanished, leaving only the sound of the ship's engines. No one moved. The pilot finally whispered, "Was that a recording?" Zeltor nodded slowly. "Yes, but someone wanted us to find it." Rilna leaned forward, still staring at the dark console. "Commander, that message wasn't stored in our systems. It was implanted. Someone, or something, put it there while we were in hyperspace." The air grew heavy. Every alien on the bridge felt a chill crawl down their spine. "How could they do that?" asked the navigator. "Hyperspace is sealed from external contact. No signal can enter or leave." Zeltor's eyes narrowed. "Unless their technology can." Silence filled the bridge again. The thought was terrifying. Humans, long believed extinct, had just proven they could reach into hyperspace and speak through it like it was nothing. "Commander," Rilna said quietly, "what if they're watching us right now?" He looked around, scanning the shadows of the room. "Then we give them nothing to fear," he said. "They spared us once. Let's not test their patience." He ordered the ship to continue toward Valoria Prime. But even as the stars returned to normal space, something felt wrong. A soft vibration pulsed through the floor. A low, rhythmic thud. Rilna checked her monitors. "Commander, that's not us. It's external." The ship's lights flickered. For a moment, everyone saw something impossible. A faint human symbol glowing across the main window. The Terran Defense Force insignia. Before it disappeared again. "Did everyone see that?" shouted the pilot. Zeltor's voice was tight. "Yes! Keep recording." Then another signal appeared. A weak transmission, coming from deep behind them, from the Terran zone they had just escaped. "Play it," Zeltor ordered. Static filled the air. Then a whispering voice came through, distorted and faint. "We remember you, Valorians." The bridge went silent. The voice was human and alive. "You once called us savages. You thought the fires of Earth had died. But fire never dies in the dark. It waits." The signal ended. For a long moment no one breathed. The only sound was the slow, distant hum of the engines. Rilna looked terrified. "Commander, that wasn't a recording. That was live. Someone spoke to us just now." Zeltor's face hardened. "Then humanity isn't just history. They're awake." He turned toward the dark stars outside the window, feeling a strange mix of fear and awe. "Prepare a full report for the Council," he said quietly. "Tell them the humans are back, and they are watching." But deep inside, Zeltor knew something the others didn't. The humans hadn't attacked. They had only warned. That meant they still remembered mercy, or they were saving their wrath for something far bigger. The stars ahead glowed faintly as the ship continued its journey home. Yet somewhere, far behind them in the Terran dark, a single blue light blinked, slow and steady, like a heartbeat waiting to be heard again. The Valorian patrol ship Vraxus entered normal space near the edge of their empire. The stars here were calm, the silence familiar. Yet for Commander Zeltor and his crew, nothing felt normal anymore. It had been 2 standard days since the encounter, 2 long, sleepless days. Every sensor they ran showed no trace of the human fleet. Yet the feeling of being watched never left. Inside the command deck, the crew moved quietly. No one joked, no one relaxed. The strange message from the Terran fleet still echoed in their minds. Humanity is not gone. The stars remember our fire. Ensign Rilna stared at her screen. "Commander," she said softly, "the signal we received, it's still there." Zeltor turned. "What do you mean? We left their space." "Yes, sir," she said, But the message isn't just in our system anymore. It's inside our core files. It keeps rewriting itself. It's spreading like it's alive. The room went still. The pilot frowned. Alive? Are you saying it's some kind of virus? Rilna shook her head. No, not like that. It's not damaging our systems. It's just writing data, strange coordinates, over and over. Coordinates? Zeltor asked. To where? She took a breath. A star system on the edge of the void. No records, no name. Just numbers. Zeltor studied the glowing marks on the screen. He felt something deep inside. Curiosity, fear, maybe both. Set course, he ordered quietly. The pilot turned in shock. Commander, with respect, after what happened... I know, Zeltor interrupted, but we can't go home with half a story. If the humans left us this message, we must find out why. The engines roared, and the patrol ship slipped into hyperspace once more. Hours later, the Vraxus dropped out of the jump. The view ahead took everyone's breath away. Before them floated a small, dead star surrounded by the shattered remains of planets, broken worlds, floating like dust in the dark. In the center, massive structures drifted silent and metallic, shaped like rings and towers. Rilna whispered, "Is that a graveyard?" Zeltor stared. "No, that's a city." The alien ship approached slowly. The closer they came, the more details appeared. Ancient human warships fused into one giant structure. Entire fleets turned into a single world-sized fortress. "It's incredible," the navigator said. "They built this out of their dead ships." Suddenly the ship's lights dimmed. A soft hum filled the air. "Power fluctuation," shouted the engineer. "I'm not doing anything," the pilot said. "Something's drawing energy from us." The screens flickered and words began to appear. Old Terran language, glowing in red across every display. "We remember," Rilna gasped. "They know we're here." "Commander, should I retreat?" the pilot asked. Zeltor hesitated. "No, wait." Outside, lights began to appear within the broken city. Slowly, hundreds of small vessels powered up. Drones, shuttles, and what looked like fighters. They moved with eerie coordination, forming patterns around the alien patrol ship. A low, deep sound filled space, not noise, but a vibration that shook the hull. The alien crew could feel it in their bones. "What is that?" Rilna whispered. "It's communication," Zeltor said. "They're speaking in energy frequencies." He watched the pattern of light forming across the giant human structure. Each pulse was slow and deliberate, almost like words. Rilna's translation screen flickered. Her voice trembled as she read, "The fire of Earth never died. The galaxy turned away. We did not." The crew stared in silence. Then another message formed, this time across the entire sky, in glowing blue energy. "Do you still believe yourselves gods?" The bridge fell silent. No one dared to speak. Moments later, the massive structure in front of them began to move. Slowly, its central ring started spinning, gathering light from the shattered star at its center. Energy crackled across its surface, forming a storm that made the alien sensors scream. "Commander!" shouted the navigator. "The energy reading is beyond anything I've ever seen. They're manipulating gravity itself." Zeltor watched in awe. "They're creating power from a dead star." As they watched, the light intensified. The entire wrecked system began to bend, the fragments of planets pulling together as if time was reversing. The Valorian crew gasped as they realized the humans were rebuilding a sun. "Impossible," Rilna whispered. "No," Zeltor said. "Not impossible, forgotten." The star flared bright white, blinding the sensors. The alien ship's shields flared to life automatically. When the light faded, they saw the impossible. The broken world now glowing again. Surrounded by the shining fortress city, it was alive. The humans had turned death itself into power. "Commander," Rilna said weakly, "what kind of species can do this?" "The kind that learns from extinction," Zeltor replied. He stared at the reborn star, his voice low. They didn't just survive. They transcended. Suddenly, a new signal came through the speakers, clear and cold. You have seen the heart of terror. You understand now. Leave while you can. Before anyone could respond, a flash of light surrounded them. The Vraxis was thrown backward, spinning out of control. Systems screamed and gravity failed. Then, as quickly as it started, it stopped. When the lights came back, they were alone again. The city, the star, everything gone. Rilna whispered, "Commander, was that real?" Zeltor looked out into the dark where the shining world had been. "Yes," he said softly. "Too real." He stood in silence for a long moment. "Set a course home. The Council must hear this. The humans have the power of gods and the memory of monsters." As the ship turned toward the stars, one last flicker of blue light appeared behind them. A single human symbol burning bright for a heartbeat before fading away. The mark of Earth. The patrol ship Vraxis raced through space at full speed, heading back toward Valoria Prime. Every system hummed louder than usual, and the crew's eyes were heavy with fear. None of them spoke much, since they had seen the human sun come alive in the dead system. Commander Zeltor sat quietly in his command chair. His thoughts were heavy. He had seen many strange things in his career. Alien weapons, dying stars, entire planets turned to dust. But never had he seen something so powerful and so silent. The humans had rebuilt a star, and then they had erased it, as if to remind him they control what lives and what dies. "Commander," said Ensign Rilna, her voice weak, "we're receiving a faint transmission." Zeltor frowned. "From where?" She checked her console. "Unknown. It's coming from behind us, from the same direction as the human system." "Play it," Zeltor ordered. Static filled the room. Then a voice, calm, human, emotionless. "Do not return." The transmission ended. The crew looked at each other in silence. Was that real? The pilot asked. Zeltor didn't answer. He only said, "Increase speed." Hours passed. The Vraxis finally entered Valorian territory. The stars here looked warmer, safer, but none of them felt safe. The air on the ship was heavy, like something unseen was still with them. Then, without warning, the ship's lights dimmed. The engines flickered. "Commander!" Rilna shouted. "Power fluctuations again!" The control panels blinked wildly. Screens filled with strange human symbols, the same ones they saw back in the void. "It's them again," whispered the navigator. The ship slowed to a stop on its own. Every system went silent. Outside, the stars grew dim, as if the universe itself had stopped breathing. "What's happening?" The pilot shouted. "No idea," Rilna said, panic in her voice. "Our instruments show we're surrounded." Surrounded by what? Then they saw it. Out of the darkness, hundreds of massive shadows appeared. Human ships. The same fleet as before, but this time closer. Much closer. The UNS Resolution moved to the front, its dark hull reflecting faint light from distant stars. Rilna's voice trembled. "How did they find us here?" "We left their space." Zeltor stood slowly. His voice was low. "Maybe we never left." Before anyone could speak, a new signal hit the ship. A blinding flash of white light that filled the entire bridge. The crew covered their eyes. Every system screamed warnings. "Shields failing," shouted the engineer. "We're being hit by something. I don't know what." The flash lasted only a few seconds, but when it ended, everything changed. The entire ship went silent. All lights were off. The engines dead. Not even emergency power remained. Only the faint sound of their own breathing filled the darkness. Rilna tapped her console, but nothing worked. No power, no control, nothing. It's like the ship is asleep. Outside, the human fleet stayed perfectly still. No movement, no sound. Just the silent glow of their hulls in the distance. "Commander," the pilot whispered. "What do we do?" Zeltor looked around the dark bridge. "We wait," he said quietly. "If they wanted us dead, we'd be dead already." Minutes passed like hours. No one spoke. Some crew members whispered quiet prayers to the stars. Others just stared into the dark. Then something moved outside, a faint shimmer of blue light. One of the human ships was turning. It drifted closer to the Vraxis, its massive shadow covering them completely. Rilna's voice cracked. "It's scanning us." A beam of soft blue light swept across their ship, touching every corner. For a moment it felt warm, almost peaceful. Then it was gone. The human vessel backed away and disappeared into the darkness. One by one, the others followed, fading like ghosts. Within seconds, the entire fleet was gone. The alien patrol floated in the void, powerless and alone. Rilna finally broke the silence. "Commander, why didn't they destroy us?" Zeltor took a deep breath. "Because they wanted to show us something." He looked out the main window. In the distance, he could still see the faint light of the dead system they had visited. A single blue pulse, beating slowly like a heart. "They wanted us to remember," he said. "They wanted us to know what they've become." The lights of the ship flickered back to life. One by one, the systems returned, but the damage was clear. Their data was gone. Every recording, every scan, every log from the human encounters had been wiped clean. Only one file remained on the computer. Rilna opened it. Her hands shook as she read it aloud. "You have seen our silence. You have felt our power. Tell your kind the stars belong to all, but the dark belongs to us." Zeltor closed his eyes. "They control everything," he said quietly. "Even the truth." The bridge remained quiet for a long time. No one dared to speak. Outside, the stars slowly brightened again, as if pretending nothing had happened. The Vraxis drifted in the dark, its engines cold and quiet. The crew sat in silence, shaken, alive but forever changed, and far beyond their senses, hidden in the folds of space, the human fleet watched. Their ships hung in the black like silent gods, patient and endless. One final transmission whispered through the emptiness, unheard by any alien ears. Observation complete, and then nothing. Just the quiet pulse of the universe and the memory of a light that once burned. Before everything went dark, 3 days later, the alien patrol ship Vraxis was found drifting near the edge of Valorian space. Rescue vessels from the Galactic Council surrounded it carefully, scanning for life. At first, they thought no one survived. The ship looked like a ghost, hull cracked, engines frozen, lights flickering weakly in the void. Then one by one, faint life signals appeared. The crew was alive, but silent. When the rescuers entered, they found Commander Zeltor and his team sitting in the dark command deck. Their eyes were open, but their minds seemed far away, still lost in what they had seen. A medic kneeled beside Zeltor. "Commander, can you hear me?" He blinked slowly, then whispered, "They saw us." "Who?" the medic asked. "The humans. Back at Galactic Central Command, every great species sent representatives. The Valorians, the Dravik, the Arkan Collective, even the cold-blooded Zephyrin Empire. Everyone had heard the rumors. The lost humans have returned." In the council chamber, the head archivist placed a small device on the table, the only data recovered from the Vraxis. "This," he said, "is all we found." The council members leaned forward as the device flickered to life. For a few seconds, static filled the room. Then came a deep voice, human, steady, emotionless. "Humanity watches. Do not return," the message echoed through the chamber. When it ended, no one spoke. The Valorian ambassador broke the silence. "That system was dead for 1,000 years. Are we to believe they still live there?" Another replied, "If they survived, how did we never detect them?" The Dravik general growled, "If they truly exist, they are a threat. We should destroy their system before they destroy us." But then the room lights dimmed. The device on the table activated again, this time uncommanded. A second message played. "Your warships will never reach us. We control the dark. We see your thoughts. We know your fear." The entire chamber froze. Someone whispered, "They're listening to us." Right now. The council quickly shut down all systems, but it didn't matter. Every display in the room flickered with human code, the same strange symbols from the Vraxis logs. And then, as quickly as it began, everything went dark. Hours later, emergency lights came back on. The council sat in silence. The Valorian Prime Minister stood. "We cannot fight this," he said softly. "Not something that can reach us anywhere." "But if we do nothing," shouted the Dravic general, "they will think we are weak." Zeltor, who was brought in as witness, finally spoke. His voice was low and tired. "They don't think about weakness," he said. "They don't care about us at all." The others turned toward him. "What do you mean, Commander?" Zeltor looked down. "We're not their enemies. We're their memory. They wanted us to see what happens to those who forget them." He stood slowly, his hand trembling slightly. "They have the power to unmake light, to stop time, to erase truth itself. They showed us mercy, not because they're kind, but because they're warning us." He looked around the table. "If we go back, we won't return." Later that night, Zeltor sat alone in his quarters. The galaxy outside the window looked peaceful, but he knew peace was a lie. He turned on his private console to record a final log. Personal log, Commander Zeltor. "We believed humans were extinct, victims of their own wars. But they are not gone. They've become something else, something that watches from the shadows of space. We saw their ships. We felt their silence. They no longer live like us. They exist beyond fear, beyond death, beyond time. If this message is found, remember this truth. The stars may belong to the living, but the dark belongs to humanity." He ended the recording and stared at the stars. Somewhere out there, beyond the maps, beyond the sensors, they were watching, patient, ancient, waiting. Then his console flickered. A new message appeared, written in human code. "We see you, Zeltor." He froze. The lights dimmed. A faint human voice echoed through the room. "You told our story well, Commander." The voice faded. The screen went black. Outside, the stars shone as always, quiet, endless, innocent. But deep between them, unseen by any eye, something vast moved in the dark. A shape, metallic, immense, drifted silently through the void. On its side, a name burned faintly in the old Terran script, UNS Vengeance, and then, like a ghost, it vanished into the black, leaving only a whisper in the dark. "Observation continues."